Hey, Paul, thanks for coming.
Thank you, Dennis.
And thank you very much for saving a little bit of news for us today on the first day of the Skift Global Forum. If any of you missed it this morning, pretty big development in that the Priceline group, including Priceline.com, Booking.com, and Agoda in Asia, agreed to participate in TripAdvisor Instant Booking. And what that means is today, if you search for a hotel on TripAdvisor, you'll see some options from Booking.com and from Priceline.com, and consumers will click on a link and they'll have to go to Priceline.com to actually book the hotel. But in the very near future, consumers are going to be able to book that Priceline.com hotel room right on TripAdvisor. So TripAdvisor's stock is up like 25% today, so it's a pretty big deal. So my question for you, Paul, there is a question.
All right.
And that is, for the last year or year and a half, I've heard Priceline group officials say, this TripAdvisor instant booking is not for us. Perhaps there wasn't enough branding for you, or the economics weren't right. What happened?
Yeah, great question. And as you know, I can't get into the particulars of the deal, as you might expect. But what I can say is that I think we thought that the time was right to really start an experimentation around the product. I think we called out in particular the branding is right. We obviously want a great experience coming off of the TripAdvisor website, coming onto one of the Priceline Group websites, and we think it's the right time to do it. And our relationship with TripAdvisor goes it's a long storied relationship. We've been partners for years, and whether it's with TripAdvisor as a Meta or Google or Kayak or any of the other kind of partners that we have, we see this as a logical evolution in this space.
Aren't you concerned about building up TripAdvisor as a more formidable competitor than they are today?
I think, as I said, we've been a large partner, and TripAdvisor and the other Metas have been constructive in giving us qualified leads. And as long as that business continues to be qualified leads and a great customer experience, obviously well branded, I think we'll continue to experiment with that.
You mentioned a couple of times that it's well branded. Are they changing the way that they're branding this product for you, or are they doing it the same way they do it for Marriott or some of the other hotel companies?
Yeah, again, I can't get into the particulars of the deal, but here's what I'd say. I think that we're comfortable that the customer will know exactly where they are, when they are, through the process, and we think that's really important because obviously we're in the business of building the Priceline Group brands and not anyone else's brand.
Right. You say you can't get into the particulars of the product, but I remember back in the day when before Kayak was part of Priceline, they had an OTA deal with Orbitz, and they had some kind of exclusivity to it. Is that the same today?
Yeah, that's I think still a direct question. I can't get into the particulars of the deal, but I would say stay tuned. I think it's going to be exciting to watch.
Okay. I saw some people from TripAdvisor wandering around. Does anybody want to answer that question? No takers, okay. You have an extremely interesting career. From 2006 to 2011, you were SVP of online marketing at Priceline.com. Then you went to the big daddy, Booking.com, sister company in Amsterdam, as chief marketing officer. Booking.com is one of Google's largest, customers in the world. And then now you're back to Priceline.com as CEO as of last April. So you're uniquely positioned to answer this question of mine. I went to Google, I did a search for hotels in Hartford, Connecticut. Not too many people stay in Hartford, Connecticut, but we won't get into that. At any rate, in the left-hand column is an ad on Google from Booking.com, and it says 5 hotels in Connecticut. Actually, it says 5 hotels in Hartford CT, lowest price guarantee. And then on the right-hand column was an ad from Priceline.com, Booking.com's sister company, and it says Hartford hotels, $44. Where should I book? I mean, does it matter?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. If you think about the Priceline Group at the highest level, right, our mission is to help people experience the world. And each one of our brands actually advances that mission. And so the Booking.com brand, obviously, Planet Earth's #1 accommodation site, is an excellent place to get an accommodation. Priceline.com offering great deals in travel for all your travel needs. We think that's a great place to go if customers are actually looking for a great deal or great savings. And so the answer, of course, for you is Priceline.com. But I think that the point is really, we view this as a shelf space world, right? With each one of the unique value propositions being, attracting a particular customer segment. And the Priceline Group offers that, whether it's Kayak with Meta, whether it's Open Table with restaurants, we're trying to work towards that mission of helping people experience the world.
So we're talking today about conversion. I mean, so how does that work? Your digital marketing people are sitting in an office somewhere and they're calculating, well, Booking.com is going to offer this for that placement. That means we're going to have to offer. How does that work? Do you coordinate it at all, or?
We typically run our brands autonomously. And that's what, again, allows us to really focus on the customer, not focus on the competition. And so whether we're buying keywords or doing offline advertising, we're really focused on our unique mission of the brands rather than worrying about the competition that's going on in the space. Speaking
of competition, there's been so much consolidation in the online travel agency market. Expedia is gobbling up everything that moves. They acquired Travelocity, Orbitz, What If in Australia. Google's entering the hotel booking space. They're not as far along as TripAdvisor. How does this upset the apple cart for Priceline.com, and how does it reshape your strategy?
I mean, I think it's no surprise that the United States travel market is the most competitive in the world, right? You've got great competitors all competing for similar customer sets. At Priceline.com, we think about the business, I would say, on 5 key areas. And something we're driving into the organization and building on what we've already got. The first is put customer at the center of everything. We're a customer-centric organization, we always have been, continue to do that. You've heard learning today in some of the other speakers. We're going to build on our culture of learning, and that is ask our customers exactly what they're looking for, both directly and indirectly through experimentation. Innovation is at our DNA level. We started as an innovative brand, we continue to innovate, and the innovation is critical so we get great products on the shelves for our customers. We're trying to drive a culture of momentum. We understand that momentum ultimately will drive velocity of building great products, velocity in building great experiments, and ultimately organizational velocity. And finally, having a culture of belief is really in our DNA. We believe that what we're doing matters to customers, and that's kind of in our DNA. It's something we bring, and you'll find it on our website, you'll find it in our marketing, and by using all of those key tools, that's how we're competing against, and participating in this aggressive market.
And how does Priceline.com in particular, I mean, you find yourself, Booking.com is massive, Expedia is, a giant in the US. You guys are basically trying to make a comeback, in some way. So yeah. How do you handle that?
Yeah, I'd hate to call Priceline.com a comeback story, right? I think that we've been a travel leader. I think we've got the highest brand awareness in the space, right? I would call Priceline a super brand. And what we're doing is we're evolving as the marketplace is. So whether it's innovations in mobile, which we're kind of leading in the category, we're super aggressive. We understand that the category is moving more and more towards mobile, last minute. Our evolution of express deals and launch of that product is a very specific product that gets at a market that falls in between our name your own price heritage and retail, offering great deals for customers. So we're moving with the market, we're following the customer, and that's how we think we're going to win.
In terms of conversion and digital marketing, how does it work in terms of building a strategy for name your own price versus all the other last minute deals you're doing?
Well, is the question, how do we market those products, or?
Yeah, how do you market them, and how does it impact the strategy, marketing 2 different products like that?
We think that we're in a unique position of offering, many solutions to the multiple customer segments. Some customers are looking for absolute best price, and they're willing to make certain trade-offs to get that best price. Some are actually looking for a little bit more control over their travel itinerary. We've got great discounts for them. Or some people just say, I want absolute control, and they're willing to pay retail prices. By bringing bringing together the sum of all of those products, we think we've got a kind of a winning strategy there.
In looking around the online travel agency landscape, travel inspiration doesn't really seem to be a gigantic part. I mean, Expedia has done the Find Yours campaign that was inspirational. How do you view that? How do you, for you, is it all about the final transaction? How do you view attracting travelers, higher in the booking funnel?
Yeah, I mean, I think we use a war chest of marketing and distribution channels to appeal to customers, both in the vehicles that they consume that content. So whether it's TV at the highest level for inspiration, or whether it's social media, you heard a lot about Instagram today, Facebook, YouTube, Hulu. We're attracting customers where they are in or thinking about travel. And we recognize that once we bring them into the Priceline.com website, or our mobile app, or our mobile web, we've got some pretty good conversion tools because we've got great products to offer them.
I have a question about William Shatner.
Okay, I knew it.
So I'm not a Trekkie, but I'm a great admirer of William Shatner, the negotiator. And I read that you're currently conducting an agency review, an advertising agency review. You recently signed on the BBDO advertising agency.
That's right.
Are you going to kill off William Shatner again?
I can't comment exactly what we're going to do with Bill Shatner, but I'll tell you this.
And incidentally, Travelocity has pledged that they're not going to kill the roaming gnome.
All right, well,
So
good for them, I guess. Listen, Bill has been fantastic for the brand, right? He is actually what's been constructive to building our high brand awareness. The negotiator was the ultimate customer advocate, so that kind of thought process is in our DNA. Bill's the hardest working guy in Hollywood at 84, 85 years old. He's still going. God bless him. Stay tuned. We're working through with BB&D, what role, if any, does Bill have? But we're going to think really hard about it.
does he realize his life is on the line, or is he in the loop on that?
I think we all have to sing for our supper, right?
Are there any takeaways, for travel companies that are out there that might be able to afford having an official spokesman like that? Are there any takeaways from the experience?
I think it always cuts both ways. When we've been very fortunate to have a spokesperson that hasn't gotten arrested or done something evil in the space. He's been, he embodied a lot of what our brand values and offering was. And so I think if you can find the right one, it can be super constructive.
No one's going anywhere without a smartphone, obviously, these days. How has mobile and the sharing economy, I see, TripAdvisor and Booking.com are ramping up homestays and apartments, and how has all of that impacted your plans, your strategy?
I think that the consumer behavior and the technology is evolving. Right, and consumers have supercomputers in their pockets, and that allows them access to great worldwide inventory and travel products, in a second. And of course, what we're seeing at Priceline.com is that market is moving to very last minute. People are literally making decisions either on the fly and staying, in the evening, or planning for quite some time and actually pulling the trigger in the last minute. We've done a fair bit of surveys, and our customers are telling us that products like our Tonight Only deals or our Express deals for mobile is what's really appealing to them, because they want to be able to have the agility to make a last minute decision. So the market's moving, and we're trying to anticipate where that market's going to be, skate to where the puck's going to be. Mm-hmm. And so our innovation-led teams are thinking about that, and we feel as long as we're keeping the customer in the center of that process, we're not going to miss.
So is it mobile apps or mobile web? Where do you guys think things are heading?
I don't predict the technology, but what I'll say is we're going to have a service offering that makes sense for the use cases of the customers. And if that shifts in one direction, we'll try to get ahead of that. But right now we're placing bets across the table. Right.
You guys have been doing a hell of a lot of TV advertising, as have your competitors.
Yeah.
But millennials and the emerging Gen Z aren't watching much TV these days. So how is that going to help you, and does it make you even more reliant on Google?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it makes us more reliant on Google. I think that the way that we think about it is generate great content, compelling content, relevant, salient content for our segments. Put it in front of them when they're ready to engage and how they're ready to engage and the way they want to engage. So whether that's long form TV or short form vines, that's the kind of way we're thinking about that. And then be engaging. And I think the content really is what it's all about. And we'll find the customers because they're out there and they're engaging other forms of distribution, and we'll be there for that.
Have you been experimenting with Apple Watch, for example, and is that just sort of a plaything, or you take it seriously?
I would say, listen, I would say I have one. I would say that that's a bet that we're covering as well. We've got a great Apple Watch app. It's a slow start in terms of adoption, I think, in the space broadly. But we're going to continue to experiment, and if someone catches lightning in a bottle, we want to be there for that.
Right. Priceline.com is a little bit different than most of the companies in the Priceline group in the fact that you sell flights, you sell car rentals, Booking.com just does hotels.
Yeah.
So how does that complicate things for you, or is it more of an opportunity?
Yeah, I think it's a great opportunity for us. Travel often in the U.S. starts with a flight. We're thrilled to have that product. We're actually investing in that product to bring it up to what I would call true market standards and then above. It's a great cross-sell opportunity for us. It drives hotel bookings and certainly car bookings, and so we love being an OTA. We think it's a great place to be, and it allows us to bring more products to more consumers. So
right.
We love it.
I remember in the old days of the OTAs, they were just the websites were a cluttered mess, So as we move ahead, what are some of the design trends that you see, on websites and mobile apps, and how do these things influence conversion?
Yeah, I think it's a great question, and I agree with your assessment of the old days for us older folks. I think simplicity and personalization is the answer. All of this has to go to unlocking unique experiences based on data that we have, accessing that data, delivering personal results in the simplest way to engage the brand, the way that consumers want to engage the brand. I think those are the two really key elements for us, and that's not only mobile. I think that's across all platforms.
And there's been so much talk about personalization. What are you guys actually doing to personalize the travel experience?
Yeah, so I won't give you our playbook, but I think that the idea of tapping into technological innovations, i.e. GPS, knowing where the customers are, and serving them up geo-relevant deals and offerings, those are the kinds of innovations and very personal things that consumers will like based on where they are or previous preferences that they've signaled to us.
How do you keep differentiating in this space? Because it seems like as soon as you come out with a product, it's copied. Is it just like an infinite circle like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think if innovation's in your DNA, that's the only chance you have, and I think you need to continue to innovate to get whatever lead comes from that innovation, and at the heart of that is experimentation. And so we're running thousands of experiments per quarter to try to understand exactly what customers will prefer and then deliver that at scale.
Right. In terms of all that testing and experimentation, is there a lot of knowledge sharing within the Priceline group? Does Kayak share with you some of the stuff they're doing on mobile, and how does that work? Because there's competition also, right?
Yeah, they sure are. I would say that we share enough so that we don't do anything stupid. Right, we try to share best practices where we can, but there's obviously privacy issues. There's just good group management, and we want to stay as autonomous as brands as we can. So we're fierce competitors, but I would say communicate as appropriate.
Right. Back on that instant booking question, do you expect higher conversion through booking on TripAdvisor versus participating in their meta search, or how do you view that?
I'm not sure. That's why we're going to experiment with it. Depending on where the customer is in the process, where they're coming from in the funnel, the level of qualified leads that TripAdvisor is able to kind of aggregate to get into that process. We know we've got a converting machine in any of our participating brands, so I think we've got a good shot once the lead comes over. I'm not sure how it will compare to Meta. We'll see. You would think that it might be a higher qualified lead.
Right.
We'll see. We'll see.
We have some time for some audience questions. See a couple over there. The mic is coming over. Her name is not Mike. Okay.
Hi. Can you talk a little bit about Priceline Group's acquisition of Booking Suite and Price Match? And does ownership of the actual hotel's own distribution benefit Priceline.com in any way? And if so, is that a potential conflict of interest?
Okay, so I'm no longer part of Booking.com. I am familiar with the Booking Suite acquisition, and the spirit of that actually is just to address an area of concern that we saw in the market, which is many of the, say, independent long-tail hotels were in need of actually an improved website. And that the fact that we could actually have a scalable website model with some tools to help them actually convert the traffic that goes directly to their business was the process, and that's actually something we're starting to scale, and that's underway. I don't see any of the particular conflicts of interest in that. It's completely at the hotel's discretion if in fact they want to participate, if they're looking for that kind of service. And as far as benefiting Priceline.com, I would say the answer is no. There's really no connection between the Booking.com brand, Booking Suite, and Priceline.com.
There's a couple of questions over there. Oh, go ahead. Sure.
How do you think about redefining the user experience for a Priceline user? I mean, you have a lot of competition, many of which are offering the same inventory. So how do you introduce an element of delight that's actually quite different from all of your competitors?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. You know, pricing is in our DNA and it's in our name, and the combination of great UI and great deals is really at the core of the way we think about that design. And we think that with a differentiated product that's really not the same inventory broadly as our competitors, the combination of really simplicity in design and great deals is the formula that we're applying.
Question for you about Google. So Google's obviously been a tremendous funnel for the Priceline Group, and you guys have been shown a lot of skill in acquiring traffic. In the last couple of years, Google's become much more aggressive at taking up a lot of the organic inventory for its own hotel meta search product. How big of a threat is that to the Priceline Group? Do you think that Google is a monopoly in search, and do you think that they are abusing their monopoly in what they're doing in the travel space?
It's a great question. No, I wouldn't say that they're a monopoly. I think that they've got great competitors around the world. We have been able to take the traffic off of Google and do a great job turning that traffic, customers coming over into converted bookings for us. So we'll continue to do that. As far as SEO goes, my view on that is it's more of a desktop thought, because as the devices get smaller and smaller and smaller, the number of choices from an SEO perspective on mobile decline dramatically. And so I believe that it's a paid world. Google is a advertising engine, and they drive paid traffic to advertisers. And so I think that's going to continue for quite some time. And we'll do our best to play in that environment.
Thank you very much. Wonderful session. My question is about social media. You have invested a lot with Facebook, and suddenly we don't hear much about, how is the conversion for Priceline Group on social media. So can you just give us some light about this?
Yeah, I won't give the actual performance, but listen, Facebook can give you the Super Bowl every day. So we take it pretty seriously that they know how to do that, and you've seen some speakers today talk about Instagram. We think hard about getting the right content in front of the right customers, and not just as a brand extension, but ultimately as a transaction process. And we'll continue to use Facebook and other channels to help us do that, as long as customers continue to participate in those channels and have a desire to consume our content. So yeah, we think hard about it all the time.
I think we're out of time, sadly. So thank you very much.
Dennis, thank you very much.
It's great.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.